Racial bias is an inappropriate preconception of someone based off their ethnicity or race. This can lead to unfair stereotyping, distasteful attitudes, and prejudice towards individuals or ethnic groups. This can manifest itself into a conscious or unconscious manner. Cognitive bias is often the reasoning for these preconceptions. This is when someone accepts an opinion or belief without examining or questioning it, due to the people they surround themselves sharing the same belief. We wanted to understand this better and challenge ourselves to try to find solutions. We wanted to research the theme of racial bias more, as it does not line up with the UN SDGs or EDI, as it causes inequality, disrupts people from receiving quality education, prevents them from having good health and well-being, and does not prioritise diversity or inclusion.
The history of racism is evident across many centuries. The concept of racism was created to highlight the differences between Europeans and those of African descent. By the 19th century, racism had evolved and spread across the world. Those seen as low-status races were exploited for their labour. Racism became a common pattern across many areas of the world. Racism reflects hatred and distrust and precludes any attempt to understand its victims. Many societies have begun to fight back against racism and raise awareness around this issue. This once again highlights that racism does not align with the UN SDGs and UDIs.
Severity of racism. Racial bias is very prominent in Spain. In the most recent study in 2020, nearly half the country's minorities felt as though they experienced racism in that calendar year. Minorities will suffer in social settings like bars, buying property, and interactions with Spanish police. Kids in school will call their peers derogatory nicknames in relation to their appearance, suggesting an introduction to racially aware mindset from early age. This does not align with the EDIs, as it does not prompt inclusion.
We found a recurring problem when it came to racial bias in Spain football. Footballers from different ethnic backgrounds receive massive amounts of racist aggression, backlash from fans when they don't perform their best. For example, Vinicius Jr., a Real Madrid player, has received terrible abuse and said, in Brazil, Spain is known as a country of racists. This does not align with the UN SDGs and EDIs, as it is a prime example of racial bias in everyday life.
In recent decades, racism in Ireland has become more evident due to the growth of cultural diversity in the country. Despite its reputations for hospitality, the country faces challenges related to racism. Recent reports indicate that instances of racism have been observed, including physical and verbal assaults directed towards individuals of colors of ethnic minorities. Many migrants face barriers to employment, housing, and service.
In addition, due to the networks, hate messages and discrimination have spread on the internet, increasing social conflicts. According to the Irish Guard, there has been a recent increase in racially motivated hate crimes, especially towards Africans and Asians.
Studies conducted by the Equality Commissions reveal that individuals of African descent are more susceptible to discrimination in the workplace and in finding a home. To address this, we could develop educational plans that encourage cultural variety and tolerance of discrepancies, increase the presence of minority groups in public services, and combat racial discrimination through strategies such as publicity campaigns and cultural events that promote solidarity.
Despite progress in Ireland in raising awareness of racism as a social issue, there is still work to be done to achieve a fully inclusive society.